How does that make any sense?
Right now at 6, sex toys for patients?
These are full on I'm at a loss for words right now.
A KGW exclusive and investigation into a program at the Oregon State Hospital paid for by taxpayers.
Plus, a former trailblazer accused of rape testifies in his defense.
I'm in deep sleep, so I'm kind of like, in and out of it, like, what's going on?
Then, why Oregon senators overrode a governor's veto for the first time in a decade. And later,
so this is going to be a show you do not want to miss.
Rocking out at Providence Park, the big names set to perform as the stadium gets ready for its largest show ever. Thanks for joining us here at 6. I'm Christine Pitawanich.
And I'm David Molko. We begin with a KGW exclusive and newly obtained documents which reveal Oregon's state-run psychiatric hospital is handing out sex toys to patients.
You heard right. Investigative reporter Kyle Boshi is here with a story that you will not see anywhere else. Kyle, first off, a quick warning, this content not suitable for everyone.
Exactly. Over the past few years, the Oregon State Hospital has faced intense scrutiny over patient deaths, safety concerns, and issues with staffing and patient care. Now, our investigation shines a light on something else: sex toys. The Oregon State Hospital is the highest security psychiatric facility in the state. Most patients here are involved in the criminal justice system, either because they're unfit to stand trial or found guilty except for insanity, on charges ranging from low-level misdemeanors to serious felonies, including violent and sexual offenses. Which raises the question, why are these patients getting sex toys paid for with taxpayer dollars?
How does that make any sense?
Tiffany Edens is a rape survivor and advocate for crime victims.
You are feeding into people's fantasies. People that have no business to have these types of toys.
The state hospital openly promotes sexual health, explaining in a patient handbook, Oregon State Hospital permits certain items you may need for personal use, such as sexual aids. A public records request revealed a detailed policy, including a 10-page color catalog of various sex toys available to patients with names like Vortex, the Double Dancer, and Vibrating Helping Hand Pro. We've blurred some of the images, names, and descriptions. As you can imagine, they are quite graphic.
These are full on I'm at a loss for words right now, because these are like you're going into the sex toy store and they're not appropriate for people that are within a state hospital.
The state hospital policy falls under treatment services and requires discussion, education, and patient consent. There are rules: only hospital-approved sexual aids made of certain material, and a max of 2 sexual aids per patient. Last year, the state hospital provided a total of 65 sexual aids to patients, costing taxpayers almost $3,000. I reached out to national experts, hospital associations, and doctors. Everyone I spoke with agreed distributing sex toys in state-run psychiatric hospitals is not common practice.
I don't think we should necessarily jump to the conclusion that sexuality is something that would be off the table.
Psychologist Dr. Robin Wilson has worked with sexual offenders in hospitals, prisons, and private practice.
All adults probably, engage in some form of sexuality. It's part and parcel of leading a well-rounded life. I think that's true for people who are in care as well, whether it's because they have some sort of a mental illness, or they're intellectually disabled, or they're on the autism spectrum, whatever it may be.
The state hospital declined our request for an on-camera interview. In a written statement, a spokesperson explained, Oregon State Hospital provides access to sexual aids as a way to offer patients an ethical and therapeutic and private form alternative for a lack of sexual expression. Adding, research has consistently shown that human touch and sexual expression can calm the nervous system, lower heart rate and blood pressure, decrease stress levels, and support overall emotional regulation and well-being. In May of 2024, the state hospital made headlines for handing out condoms, despite a policy that discourages sexual contact between patients. The policy, revealed by federal inspectors,
even caught Oregon's governor off guard. It was discontinued.
I don't know why they're handing out condoms. That was news to me.
A state hospital spokesperson later said the condoms were used for cleanliness and self-pleasure, similar to the sexual aids, which state hospital policy defines as a personal device that is primarily used in facilitating human sexual pleasure.
I don't think that it is an appropriate accommodation for a state hospital setting.
Kyle, lots of folks seem surprised by this. It certainly caught our attention.
Right.
We've been talking about it all afternoon. So how long has this policy, including that 10-page color catalog, been in place?
So it's unclear exactly when this policy began, although anecdotally, a spokesperson explained sexual aids have been distributed to state hospitals for years. In 2023, 42 devices were handed out, and last year, 65.
4265. Wow.
Yeah, definitely some perspectives in that story. Very interesting. Thank you so much, Kyle. Now to your headlines. Portland police are investigating a death on the west end of Hayden Island. Details are scarce right now, but we know officers discovered a man's body this morning around 11:30. The homicide unit is on the case, and they want anyone with information to contact Portland police.
The Regional Metro Council has voted to make changes to the Supportive Housing Services Tax. That is a tax voters approved in 2020 that's paid for by higher income earners across the Tri-County area. Right now, it is a 1% tax on income above $125,000 for individuals or $200,000 for couples. Starting next year, those thresholds will be tied to inflation and based on the average consumer price index for Portland. The new brackets will be published in November of each year. The changes are forecast to impact some 90,000 taxpayers.
The Eugene Weekly newspaper's former business manager, accused of embezzling more than $100,000, is now awaiting extradition to Oregon. Alicia Young was arrested a second time in Ohio last week. She was first arrested there earlier last month, but she was released after Governor Tina Kotek declined to pay for her extradition. Kotek reversed that decision, but not before Young got out of jail. This second arrest means Young is expected to be brought back to Lane County to face charges.
And for the first time since 2011, the Oregon State Senate has voted to override the governor's veto. Senate Bill 875 would give legal backing to Oregon's Foster Youth Bill of Rights. It means it would guarantee the right to regular contact with siblings and prohibit unnecessary separation without a court order. The governor vetoed that bill, arguing it would create confusion within the current system around child welfare and abuse investigations. But on Wednesday, the Senate overrode that with a more than 2/3 majority.
The policy is right. The process was right. These are bipartisan bills. Compromise was made, and these kids have a right to connect with their brothers and sisters, to not have their belongings moved around in garbage bags, and to attend their court hearings.
The move by the Senate sends it to the House, which also must vote to override the governor's veto. The House did not vote on it today. And keep in mind, Oregon's legislative session ends Sunday at the very latest. Celine?
David, well, today's been a cloudy day. It's also been a mild one, okay? Temperatures hit 70 degrees, but obviously outside right now it's pretty cool and cloudy. Temperatures at 70 degrees exactly still. Winds coming out of the northwest at 7 miles per hour at the moment. So earlier on today, we did see some shower activity along the coast. So Tillamook, that area, Astoria, seeing some of that patchy drizzle, and that's continued as we've gotten into the evening hours. Of course, we've stayed nice and dry again. We've just been dealing with those cloudy conditions, which will continue for at least one more day. So we're going to get into Friday. We're going to see the clouds, and that's going to start to disperse come Friday evening. Temperatures tomorrow pretty similar to today, a little bit warmer. We should break into the lower 70s, around 72 degrees. So we're dealing with those clouds. They really start to disappear once we get into Saturday, and this is when things start to heat up. We're looking at much warmer conditions and sunny skies throughout the weekend. So you're going to see right here tomorrow, low 70s. Again, some cloud coverage breaks up toward the evening. By Saturday, upper 70s. We're looking at mostly sunny conditions, and then Sunday, upper 80s. It's going to be a hot one. And after that, we even continue to warm up. We'll talk more about that a little bit later.
Warming up as we go. Thank you, Celine.
In an update, the former Portland Trailblazer accused of raping a woman at a house party took the stand today in his defense.
Ben McLemore was questioned about that night in 2021, and a warning, some of his testimony is graphic. John Adams is live for us this evening at the Clackamas County Courthouse. John, you were in that courtroom today. What did McLemore say?
Yeah, Christine and David, the former NBA player walked the court through what he says happened that night, ultimately saying the sexual encounter between him and the alleged victim was consensual, even instigated by her.
Was there any point along the way that you thought
Former Trailblazer Ben McLemore took the stand in his defense on Thursday, telling his version of what happened at a house party where he was accused of raping a woman after a night of drinking. McLemore says the evening began with bowling before team members met at Robert Covington's Lake Oswego home for cards and drinking.
But I was just, just being there and just enjoying the night and just, having that time with my teammates and stuff.
McLemore testified he encountered the alleged victim in the bathroom after some of her friends asked him to help move her to the couch because she was intoxicated. McLemore said he eventually fell asleep on that same couch and then woke up a few hours later with that woman's hands down his pants.
Fondling me and basically arousing me. So that's what pretty much woke me up. Again, I'm in deep sleep.
That's when McLemore says he began having sex with a woman, an encounter he describes as consensual.
She didn't show no signs of distress or discomfort. It didn't, give me no signs at all or alertness of that.
McLemore says that he and the alleged victim never spoke with each other before, during, or after the encounter, and he left Covington's house immediately after they had sex. During cross-examination, the prosecution argued the alleged victim never consented to sex with McLemore.
You did say on direct it was one of the most terrible things I've ever done in my life.
Right.
Having sex with an unconscious woman would be one of the most terrible things, wouldn't it?
I wouldn't say unconscious, but that moment was me leaving without saying anything was definitely a terrible one of the.
The trial will continue tomorrow here in Clackamas County with more experts and character witnesses expected to testify. Closing arguments could happen sometime next week. Back to you.
John Adams reporting live for us from Oregon City at the Clackamas County Courthouse. Thank you, John. If you or someone you know has experienced sexual assault, help is available. You can contact the National Sexual Assault Hotline, the number there on your screen. That is 1-800-656-HOPE.